Shabbat Shalom, Jewish Federation of Greater Metro West. My name is Cantor Greenberg, and I serve the wonderful community of Congregation Beth Israel in Scotch Plains. This week's Parsha Vayeshev is one of my favorites of the year. It is chock full of iconic moments and stories. In fact, this Parsha is so iconic, there is an entire musical based on it. Joseph receives his Technicolor Dreamcoat. He has not one but two controversial dreams. He is sold off to slavery, and eventually he winds up in jail. But some of us already know that whenever I speak about the Torah portion, I'd much rather focus on the more peculiar details. There is a short vignette, very brief, beginning at Genesis chapter 37, verse 15, that usually would not stick out to us when we read the Torah portion. It begins, "A man came upon Joseph wandering the fields. The man asked him, 'What are you looking for?' Joseph answered, 'I am looking for my brothers. Could you tell me where they are pasturing?' The man said, 'They have gone from here, for I heard them say, let us go to Dothan.' So Joseph followed his brothers and found them at Dothan." It might not seem this way on the surface, but there is a lot to unpack in these three short verses, which we'll get to in a second. But I want us to first focus on the two characters that this scene involves, Joseph and the man. The man? Who is this guy? We aren't given any information about this man. This anonymous character especially sticks out because in the Torah, if a person isn't given a name, they are usually identified by something, their nationality, their profession, etc. In this very Parsha, Joseph gets sold to Pharaoh by the Midianites. Joseph winds up in a jail cell with the cupbearer and the baker. Even though these groups and individuals remain anonymous, at least we know something about them. But the nameless man is not the only curious detail of this biblical passage. At the end of verse 14, we read, "And Joseph came to Shechem." So I did a little bit of research. Shechem, which was a city in the West Bank region, is about the size of Elizabeth, New Jersey. How about that? In the next verse, we read, "Vayimtzaehu ish," which here is translated as "a man came upon him," but a better translation would be "a man found him," implying that this man was actually looking for Joseph. Then the man initiates the conversation with a question, which should really read as, "Joseph, what do you seek?" So somehow, in a city with a land area of 12 square miles, this man finds Joseph and immediately assumes that Joseph is seeking something or someone. And he already knows who Joseph's brothers are and where they are headed. All of this is packed into 3 verses about Joseph merely looking for directions. Ha'ish, the man. Who is this guy? My favorite take comes from the Gur Aryeh, a 16th century rabbi from Prague. He asks, why do we need this whole story? What's the reason for all of these details? This could have easily been simplified. But the Gur Aryeh then explains that this man was the angel Gabriel, writing, so that God would bless Joseph. If none of this had happened, he would not have gone to his brothers. Instead, he would have returned home. It's funny, one could read these 3 verses as a mere throwaway narrative. Joseph gets lost looking for his brothers, some guy on the side of the road helps him out, and Joseph goes on his merry way. That's it. But as we've discovered, there is so much more to the story, and without it, the story, our story, the Jewish people's story, this story does not continue. As we know, what happens next is Joseph does find his brothers, who throw him into a pit and eventually get him a one-way ticket to becoming Pharaoh's right-hand man in Egypt. And that's only the beginning of the next 4 books of the Torah. So I want to leave us all with 2 lessons from this brief passage. The first lesson is we are constantly going through journeys in life. Many times we approach life's biggest adventures with little to no prior knowledge or experience. So our lesson is never to shy away from asking for help or receiving help. What might seem like a tiny boost can make a world of a difference. And our second lesson, number 2, our actions, even when they are small and even when they are anonymous, always have an impact. From helping our dearest friends and family to assisting someone we've never met and may never see again, we can change the course of a life, including our own. Shabbat Shalom.